Welcome back to the deep dive. If you've ever wondered how your body just manages to stay so precisely balanced,
Mhm.
how it keeps your energy up, your temperature stable, all of that at the same time,
Mm.
you're basically looking for the body's operating manual.
And that is exactly what we are diving into today, that manual. We are exploring metabolism and the endocrine system.
Right.
And if we strip it all the way down, metabolism is really just it's the grand collection of all the biochemical reactions happening inside your cells.
Okay.
Its job is non-negotiable: produce energy, repair, and just maintain life.
And we should probably mention that, while every single cell uses the products of metabolism, a lot of the heavy lifting, the raw material processing, that often starts in the digestive system.
It does, but the regulation, the command structure that tells the body how fast to run, what to build.
The conductor of the orchestra.
Exactly. That is entirely reliant on a special class of communication tools, and those tools are hormones.
Okay, so hormones are the messengers.
Think of them as chemical messengers, yeah. They're secreted by our specialized endocrine glands, and they form this massive communication network. I mean, their scope is just staggering. They regulate everything from growth and mood to fluid balance, and of course, the fundamental rate at which your cells burn fuel.
So our mission for this deep dive is to map out this whole regulatory network for you. We need to find the power button, the central command center.
Because without a proper conductor, like you said, the whole biological orchestra just descends into chaos.
So where is that central command?
It's what we call the hypothalamic pituitary axis. We'll just call it the HPA.
The HPA.
And what's so crucial to understand is that all normal metabolic function, it really hinges on the HPA working tirelessly to maintain homeostasis. That's the key concept.
That stable internal environment, right, regardless of what's happening outside.
Exactly.
Okay, so let's unpack this HPA hierarchy, because it doesn't just work, it works with almost military precision. The signal flow starts at the top with the hypothalamus.
Right, which you can think of as the ultimate intelligence hub. The hypothalamus is unique because it's constantly sensing two different signal streams at the same time.
Two streams.
Yeah, signals coming from the brain, so your thoughts, your stresses, your perceptions, and also signals from the bloodstream, where it's monitoring all the existing hormone levels. It's the point where the nervous system and the endocrine system meet.
I see. So it's integrating mind and body in a way. So once it detects a need, what's its move?
It secretes regulatory hormones, but these are very specialized messengers. They're aimed directly at the next link in the chain, which is the pituitary gland.
Ah, so this is where the switchboard analogy comes in. The hypothalamus is checking the gauges and then flipping the right switches.
Perfectly put. Which means the pituitary gland is like the sophisticated distribution center. It gets the message from the hypothalamus, and then it either ramps up or dials down its own powerful hormones.
Those are the ones that get shipped out across the body to the major endocrine glands.
That's it, and that's why we make that distinction. The hypothalamus is the master switchboard. It integrates the signals and controls the pituitary. But the pituitary gland is what we call the master gland.
Because its hormones are the ones physically regulating so many other glands downstream.
Exactly. And even the pituitary itself has this internal split, a hierarchy.
Yeah, the two lobes. That part is fascinating to me.
It's such an important detail. The anterior pituitary is the production factory. It makes and secretes 7 different hormones. Ones that regulate the thyroid, the adrenals, the gonads.
But the posterior pituitary is different.
Completely different. It doesn't make a thing. It's purely a storage and release site for 2 hormones, ADH and oxytocin, that are actually made by the hypothalamus itself.
So the switchboard handles manufacturing, sends the chemicals downstairs for storage, and the master gland releases them when the time is right. That's an incredibly efficient system.
It is.
Okay, so now that we got the central command locked down, let's do a quick survey of the major organs receiving those pituitary signals.
Let's map it out. So starting high up in the brain, you have the pineal gland. It seems small, but its main output, melatonin, is critical for timing your entire body.
The circadian rhythm, right? Your 24-hour body clock.
That's the one, and it affects just about everything else.
Then moving down into the neck, we hit one of the giants of metabolism, the thyroid gland. This thing is kind of like the body's thermostat and gas pedal combined.
That's a great way to put it. The thyroid hormone, or TH, it sets the overall metabolic pace, increases energy use, oxygen consumption in almost every cell.
And the thyroid also gives us our first really clear example of a feedback loop with calcitonin.
Yes. So calcitonin's job is to decrease the amount of calcium being reabsorbed from your bones and kidneys back into the blood.
Okay, so it lowers blood calcium.
It does. And it's working in direct opposition to another set of glands, the parathyroids. They release parathyroid hormone, or PTH, which does the opposite. It stimulates the release of calcium from the bones.
So it's a perfect homeostatic seesaw. If calcium gets too high, the thyroid pushes back. And if it gets too low, the parathyroids kick in to pull more calcium back into circulation.
That's the key insight right there. Two hormones, two separate glands working against each other to keep that one single non-negotiable calcium level just right.
Amazing.
And really quick, let's not forget the thymus tucked in the chest. It's vital for producing and maturing our T lymphocytes, so it's a direct link between the endocrine system and our immune health.
Okay, next up, the body's rapid response center, the adrenal glands, sitting right on top of the kidneys. These are fascinating because they handle both instant crises and long-term management.
They really are. Structurally, they're two glands in one. The inside, the adrenal medulla, that's your classic fight-or-flight factory.
Epinephrine, norepinephrine, the adrenaline rush.
That immediate high-speed reaction system. But the cortex, the outer layer, that handles the more subtle long-term stuff.
Right, and it secretes a few different types of hormones.
Three major classes. First, you have mineralocorticoids like aldosterone. They're critical for managing your water and sodium balance in the kidneys, basically blood pressure and fluid levels.
And second?
Glucocorticoids. The most famous one is cortisol.
Ah, the infamous stress hormone.
It is, but its role is way more complex than just stress. It's essential for regulating carbohydrate metabolism, making sure you have glucose ready during stress, and importantly, it suppresses the inflammatory response.
Which is why steroid medications are based on it, to reduce swelling and inflammation.
Exactly, because they actively inhibit the immune system's effectiveness. And finally, the third class is a small amount of gonadotropins, like DHEA, involved in reproductive functions.
It really is the ultimate multitasker gland for stress imbalance.
It absolutely is.
Okay, now we have to spotlight the organ that is just central to energy management, the pancreas. This brings us right back to carbohydrates and managing the body's fuel supply.
The pancreas is so unique. It's a dual function organ. Part of it is exocrine, so it's dumping digestive enzymes into your gut.
Right.
But the other part is endocrine. It uses these specialized cell clusters, the islets of Langerhans, just to manage blood glucose.
And that management is this beautiful push-pull relationship. What are the cells doing to walk that glucose tightrope?
Well, you have three critical players. First are the alpha cells. They secrete glucagon. So if your blood glucose dips too low...
After you haven't eaten for a while.
Exactly. Glucagon steps in. It tells the liver to break down its stored glycogen and release glucose, which increases your blood sugar.
And its famous counterpart, insulin, from the beta cells, must do the opposite.
Precisely. If glucose is the fuel, insulin is the key that unlocks the door to the cell. Without that key, glucose just builds up in the blood, which is dangerous. Insulin facilitates the uptake and use of that glucose.
So it lets the fuel in. And the third cell type, it acts as a brake pedal for the whole system.
A perfect description. The delta cells secrete somatostatin. Its job is just to inhibit. It slows things down by inhibiting the secretion of both glucagon and insulin. It ensures the system doesn't overshoot its target.
And this balance is really the key to understanding conditions like type 1 diabetes, where the beta cells are destroyed, or DKA, diabetic ketoacidosis.
Right, and DKA is what happens when the body can't use glucose for fuel at all and starts burning fats instead, creating these toxic, acidic byproducts. The body is crashing.
So if we look at applying this knowledge, how does understanding this system inform DKA treatment?
Yeah.
It's not as simple as just giving insulin, is it?
It's not. You can't. The acidosis and the severe dehydration are immediately life-threatening. So the very first step is always correcting that fluid volume deficit and the electrolyte imbalances.
You have to stabilize the patient first.
You have to stabilize the environment. Once the internal environment is less chaotic, then you administer insulin to get glucose back into the cells and shut down that toxic fat-burning process.
That really hammers home how vital this whole hierarchy is. But the endocrine system isn't just these major glands we've talked about. This regulation is spread all over the body.
This is where it gets really complex and I think really beautiful.
Yeah.
So many organs that you think of for other functions have these crucial secondary endocrine roles.
It underscores that basically every major tissue is part of this network.
Right.
So what are some of the most surprising members of this supporting cast? I mean, we think of the heart as just a pump.
The heart is a fantastic example. It secretes hormones called ANP and BNP.
Yeah.
And you have to ask, why would a pump need hormones?
Right. What's it doing?
Well, if the heart detects it's being overstretched, meaning there's too much blood volume, too high pressure, These hormones signal the kidneys to dump more salt and water.
which reduces blood volume and lowers the pressure.
The heart is self-regulating its own workload using hormones. It's incredible.
That is a brilliant feedback loop.
Hmm.
What about tissues we normally just think of as storage, like body fat?
Adipose tissue. It is not just passive storage. It is a highly active endocrine organ that secretes a hormone called leptin.
The satiety hormone.
Often called that, yeah. It travels to the brain and signals that you have enough energy stores, which helps to suppress your appetite. The size of your fat stores is directly communicating with the hypothalamus about your energy status.
So even the amount of fat you carry is talking to the master switchboard.
Constantly. And it's not just fat, even your bones. They secrete osteocalcin, a hormone that not only helps build bone, but we now know it influences pancreatic function and glucose metabolism.
Wow. So the skeleton is influencing energy regulation.
The crosstalk is everywhere, and don't forget the stomach secreting ghrelin, the hunger hormone, which works against leptin to get you to eat. The whole system, every organ is communicating.
So this deep dive really shows that metabolism isn't one process. It's a symphony. It's orchestrated by the hypothalamus, amplified by the pituitary, and it involves all these players right down to the level of a single fat cell or heart muscle.
And the goal is always that critical, delicate state of homeostasis.
And for you, the listener, understanding this map from that master switchboard all the way down to the secondary function of your bones, it provides the context you need to really grasp health and physiology.
Because knowledge is about application. When you look at this incredible hierarchy, you realize how many organs are involved in fine-tuning everything. And it forces us to ask a really critical question.
Which is?
Given the sheer complexity, the number of moving parts, is metabolic balance less like a single switch and more like 1,000 fragile levers that can all fail independently? And does that challenge our whole ability to pinpoint the cause when homeostasis finally breaks down?
That is something worth mulling over, that the interconnectedness itself could be a vulnerability. Until next time, keep optimizing that internal environment.